So this week we are going to go through procedures, functions, and triggers. So last week we did scripts, and these are the other areas where you will actually do programming in this class. And you'll be creating your own procedures, your own user-defined functions, and triggers. So you are going to want to read through the chapter in the book and then go through the lecture demo. I have lots and lots of examples in here. Okay, and then I kind of describe what the differences are between stored procedures, user-defined functions, and triggers. Basically, these are things that a database administrator would create, and stored procedures are created for other people to execute. And it's a way of, the database administrator maintaining control over tables and columns and access. You don't want people to have access to those tables, and procedures is one way of letting them see data without giving them direct access. Then we've got user-defined functions. So we did look at built-in functions a couple weeks ago. And so these are similar, but you create these. So they're not quite as easy to use as the built-in ones. And then triggers are actually super cool. Once you create them, they automatically run in the background. And so you can connect a trigger to a table, and the triggers will automatically run if the table, if someone inserts a row, deletes a row, or updates a row. And so it does help prevent errors. It provides accountability. Triggers are quite often used for archive tables where they will track, who's making changes and what changes occurred. So they're powerful, and they are actually kind of neat once you set them up because they automatically run. So the first part of this does go through stored procedures. We start with simple ones, and then we get into, how do you use input parameters and output parameters and return values. So we get a little bit more complicated as we get into the explanation. And then we get into user-defined functions. We use scalar variables and table variables with those. And then we get into the triggers. And once you finish this, and I know this, you feel like you have a lot to do, but I think these examples are valuable. And the fact that, you can actually copy them and paste them right into SSMS and run them, I think is helpful. I think anytime you can do that, it will help you understand it better. Then we get into the textbook assignment, which does have videos for every single scenario and task. And so you're going to want to go through this. And this is your hands-on for learning how to do the procedures, the user-defined functions, and the triggers. And you're going to be asked to do those in the final project lab assignment. And so walking through this will help you prepare you for that assignment. And then we get into the final project lab assignment. Now, everything is due on the 27th, except for the final project lab assignment. That is not due until December 4th. Okay, so kind of take note of that. I don't want anybody to ruin their Thanksgiving vacation working on their final project lab assignment. But this lab assignment is it's the third part of, our final project, part 3. And this is the last thing you have to do for your final project. Once you finish this, you are going to be done. So this requires that you create 4 stored procedures. You're going to do a very simple one at first. It should retrieve and display data. Then you're going to do one that has an input parameter, and it retrieves results based on the value. So it might be, a vendor or a customer, right? Customer ID 1, and you retrieve customer ID 1's information. Okay. Then you need a stored procedure that has at least 1 input parameter and at least 1 output parameter. Okay, so 1 or more means at least 1. Okay, and then you'll do a stored procedure that has a return value. After you finish that, you're going to do 2 user-defined functions. One is a scalar function, so it accepts an argument. The other one is a table function. Okay, so those are the 2 that you need. And then you're going to have your triggers. So the trigger exercise is almost identical to what you are doing in scenario 4 under triggers. So if you come all the way down to scenario 4, where you create a transaction table, and you're watching investors, and anytime somebody inserts a row, updates a row, or deletes a row, you're writing to this transaction table. That is exactly what you have to do for your final project triggers. You have to pick one of your tables. Doesn't matter which one. Okay? And then you're going to do a transaction table based on that. And so anytime somebody inserts into your table, you're going to write to your transaction table. If somebody deletes from your table, you're going to write to the transaction table. If someone updates, you're going to write to the transaction table. Okay, so you're going to need an insert, a delete, and an update trigger. So once you create those triggers, you do need to test them. So you do need to make sure that you actually go through and insert a row, update a row, and delete a row, okay, to make sure they work. Because I guarantee you I'm going to be doing that. So that is your project. And again, it is not due until December 4th. So you have quite a bit of time to work on that. You'll notice that I did post quite a few resources on triggers, stored procedures, and functions. Also, I've got another little trigger tutorial with a little SQL file that you can look at. If you do have questions or problems, let me know. Do keep in mind that the college is closed over Thanksgiving break, Wednesday through Sunday, and I will not be available either. So um, if you are a person that does have questions and needs help, you should try to work on this before Thanksgiving weekend. Okay. So I hope you all have an awesome Thanksgiving and have a lot of turkey. And do let me know if you run into problems.